Hey guys, it's Natasha checking in with a Follow Friday, the podcast edition. So, just want to talk to you guys about the podcast that I follow. I'm a fairly recent, I think maybe couple of month convert to the world of subscribing to podcasts, and I absolutely love them. So I'll talk to you about the podcast that I subscribe to, kind of give you a very high level of what they're about, why I enjoy them, and invite you to check them out. And if you have any suggestions about podcasts that you also listen to, or if you're also fans of the ones I mentioned, feel free to leave something in the comments. I'm always looking for a new podcast that would maybe fill a niche I didn't know I needed to have filled. So take you through kind of chronological order from when I started the podcast I first started subscribing to. So the very first one is Ratchet and the Geek, and this is with Lovey from awesomelyluvey.com and Scott Hanselman. They both have blogs. They're both very active on Twitter. And this podcast I really enjoy. It combines pop culture, funny news stories. They love Scandal, so they do a great breakdown of Scandal when it's on. And they also talk about, excuse me, interesting gadgets and tech news. They are probably monthly, sometimes a couple times a month, but I do really enjoy their podcasts. Then the next one is, did The Read come next, or did This Week in Blackness come next? Well, I'll talk about The Read. So The Read is with Kid Fury and Crystal. Kid Fury has a blog, very, very active on Twitter. Crystal is active on Twitter as well. They're very good friends, and they talk about pop culture news that interests them, and then they also go into their reads where they talk about things that are bothering them. They answer listener letters, answer questions. A lot of people ask for advice, and sometimes they also pass the read and they will read someone else's rant. Hilarious. Not safe for work in terms of the cursing, the expletives that you may hear, but I love it. It comes out weekly, normally on Thursdays. I absolutely love it. I get my life every time I listen, and I'm always cackling at some point before the podcast is over. So I would definitely recommend The Read. The next one is This Week in Blackness, and there are several podcasts that fall under the This Week in Blackness or TWIB umbrella. So you have TWIB Radio, which is kind of the main podcast, and you have AM TWIB, which comes on in the mornings. AM TWIB normally, when it's not on hiatus, comes on, I believe, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're listening live, and you can go to thisweekinblackness.com and listen live. TWIB Radio comes on at 3 p.m. Eastern normally. They are on hiatus, but this is a good time to check out some of their older shows. So you can go to iTunes and look for TWIB, TWIB. You can Google This Week in Blackness, look at their website. You can check out some of the more recent episodes there. And this is news stories that they've curated news stories, different articles, different interactions. This is a more politically focused set of podcasts. So if you're someone who enjoys watching things on MSNBC and CNN and you want a different kind of spin on it, their hosts, I love their personalities. They're very knowledgeable, and they're all hilarious. So I would recommend This Week in Blackness, TWIB Radio, and AM TWIB. They also have We Nerd Hard, which is a not as regular as the TWIB and AM TWIB shows, but when it comes on, they're talking about things that are like nerd and geek culture. So if you're someone who enjoys comics, video games, movies based on comic books, things of that nature, you would enjoy We Nerd Hard. They also have After Black, which is also hilarious. This is the more interesting and ratchet side of the news. They have hilarious stories. The hosts are Jess Wood and Josh Homer. They're both comedians. Very, very funny. This is more not safe for work in terms of the content they're going to discuss, because some of the funnier things in life are not safe for work content, for lack of a better word. So definitely wouldn't put that on and blast it while you're in your cubicle. But that normally is, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. But again, if you just search for After Black or look under the Twib umbrella, you'll find it and you can take a listen. There's also Twib After Dark, which is a kind of a sex positive radio show that normally comes on Sundays, I believe, that normally comes out. And if you're interested in sex positive issues, particularly from a woman's perspective, because it's hosted by Feminista Jones and Najee Laree, it'd be something you can check out. But I enjoy Twib. They have a very, very active chat room at thisweekinblackness.com. Their listeners are, I mean, I'm one of their listeners, but smart bunch. They're an engaged bunch. They have lots of good conversation. I am part of the Twib Nation community on Google+, and that community posts interesting articles, some stuff funny, some stuff makes you want to kind of rage at the machine, but always very interesting. That's a great community. If you check out the this Twib Radio or AM Twib, you like that kind of content, that's your kind of politics, your kind of stories. It is pretty liberal leaning. I am a certified bleeding heart liberal over here, so it's right up my alley. But you would enjoy that Twib Nation community on Google+. Then the next one is the Black Guy Who Tips, and I actually heard about the Black Guy Who Tips from listening to Twib, and they crack me up. They are daily from Sunday through Wednesday. Sunday? Well, they have a feedback show on Saturday, and then Sunday through Wednesday are their regular shows where they, sometimes it's just the hosts, Rod and Karen. Sometimes they have guests on as well, and it's a comedy podcast, basically. Talk about random thoughts, current events, always from a very, very, very funny perspective. I like them so much, I subscribe to their premium content. So they do have some spin-off shows. They have Balls Deep Sports, which I hate sports, and I love that show. They make me crack up all the time. So, I mean, don't tell my husband, but I actually might watch some sports stuff because they just talk about it in a very, very interesting and engaging way, and they're so funny. So whether you like sports or not, that show is great. They have spoiled movie reviews, which is just as the title says, spoiled movie reviews. Don't listen if you don't want to hear what goes on in the movies, but I enjoy those. They also have Medium Talk, where Rod does one-on-one interviews that would go on longer than he would have for any guest that comes on their main comedy show. So those are very interesting. They have Lip Smacking Good, which is a podcast Karen hosts, and it's all about food. So it can be about she has had guests who are food bloggers, cupcake bloggers, I believe. Yeah, folks who have podcasts about food, chefs, things like that. So if you like food, you should check out Lip Smacking Good. And what else is there? If you're a premium member, you can check out their archives, which is great for me because, again, I just started listening to podcasts a couple months ago, and I get to go back and hear their older shows and still crack up. And then there's also Real House Husbands, which is like a spoof reality podcast. Really, really funny. So I enjoy the Black Guy Who Tips. I'd recommend you can go to theblackguywhotips.com. You can search for the Black Guy Who Tips in iTunes or Stitcher, and check them out. I check out a couple of their most recent shows. They're on vacation this week, so their most recent shows might be about a week or so ago. Take a listen if you enjoy. I would recommend listening to at least 2 or 3. First time I listened to them, I enjoyed it, but I'm like, By the second show, I was absolutely hooked, and I was all in, ready to set up my premium subscription. So I highly recommend them. They use language that is not safe for work as well. So if you're listening to podcasts, if you have the type of job where you can listen to music or, podcasts or talk radio, put in your earbuds, put on your earphones when you're listening. But they crack me up. They're funny. Oh, they also have the Nerd Off, which is a nerd slash geek culture podcast that I really enjoy. And then the most recent edition, I actually heard about them through the Black Guy Who Tips, is Black on Black Cinema. And this podcast comes out, it's like every 2 weeks they'll have a movie that they review. They usually have in between, they'll have a preview to what is coming up. And they review black movies, whether they're newer movies, like they did Fruitvale Station when that came out, or older movies. So more, they have things that may be in the theater now, some things that may have come out earlier this year, and then things that are kind of classics. And they're all black movies, and they talk about the good and the not so good. So I enjoy the format. It's kind of a round table where you have multiple opinions, and they've talked about everything from The Last Dragon to Coming to America, hilarious, to Django Unchained, Fruitvale Station, Pariah, and what was the most recent one? Was Tyler Perry's Temptation. Blech. And they gave it the blech review that it deserved. What I like, again, I wouldn't listen to this if it's a movie that you have not seen, or you're someone who, if you hear anything about the movie, you no longer want to see it. But because they go in, they give you their initial score on what they think of the movie, and then they go in and kind of take you through the entire movie in terms of the progression of the plot, key plot points. They may play clips from the movie, but it's really thorough discussion, kind of breaking down the movie, and I really enjoy that. So they're my most recent favorite, and again, I heard about them from Black on Black Cinema. Ratchet and the Geek is probably the only one of the podcasts that I would not say is not safe for work in terms of, I don't know that I've heard any profanity on Ratchet and the Geek. The others, there's going to be profanity there. That's not a problem for me at all. But, again, that isn't anything I would listen to at work out loud. I would just put on my headphones and kind of keep it pushing. I will leave links in the description box here for the different podcasts. I love them. Absolutely love them. Listen to them. Whenever there's new content, listen to them. I'll go back. I recently subscribed to Black on Black Cinema. That's my most recent one. But I went back and downloaded all of the old episodes that are available in iTunes and kind of caught up on that because I really do enjoy the perspective. So the podcasts are my new thing. I really like these guys and wanted to give all of them kind of a shout out because they make me happy. I like sharing the things that make me happy. I hope that you guys enjoy them. And again, if you have any podcasts that you listen to or any comments about these podcasts, if these are podcasts that you enjoy as well, feel free to leave them in the comments. Until next time, guys. And if you follow my channel or you've watched any of my other videos, I normally am talking something about hair. Right now, I am wearing a sew and weave. And this is the Fro Natural Hair from PrivateStock.com, PrivateStockHair.com, I believe. And I have my hair out in the front and around the perimeter. I reached the all-important 2-week mark for me because normally at 2 weeks, I'm ready to take the sucker out. And I don't think I'm going to take it out. It feels really good. I really love this highly textured hair. Blends very well with my hair. So, Tasha's a happy camper. So that's it, guys. I'll come back soon with an update. And see you soon. Bye-bye.